Ever wondered why vulnerability assessment reports are so pivotal in the world of cybersecurity? Well, let's unpack that a bit. Vulnerability assessment reports are like the secret agents of cybersecurity. They infiltrate your systems, snoop around, and identify potential weaknesses that could expose you to cyber threats. Consider them as your first line of defense, helping you get ahead of any possible cybersecurity breaches. Now, imagine overlooking these reports. It's like handing over the keys to your kingdom, opening the gates for hackers to exploit your systems. The consequences can range from data breaches to financial losses and even reputational damage. In a world where cyber threats are constantly evolving, these reports are not just important, they're indispensable. They provide a roadmap to fortify your defenses and stay one step ahead of the bad guys. With the stakes so high, it's clear that understanding vulnerability assessment reports is a necessity, not an option. Consider this case study, where a well-known company fell prey to a cyber attack due to neglected vulnerabilities. Let's call this company Blue Chip X to maintain confidentiality. In the early spring of 2022, Blue Chip X, a leader in the tech industry, faced a cyber onslaught that brought their operations to a grinding halt. A group of hackers exploited a weakness in their system, a vulnerability that had been identified but, unfortunately, not addressed. This incident wasn't a sudden, unforeseen catastrophe. In fact, it was an avoidable disaster. A few months prior to the attack, a vulnerability assessment was carried out on Blue Chip X's systems. The report outlined several potential threats, including the very vulnerability that later became the hacker's point of entry. So, how did this happen? How did a critical vulnerability go unnoticed? The answer lies in the company's approach to vulnerability assessment reports. Despite having a report that detailed the potential threats, Blue Chip X failed to take the necessary steps to address these vulnerabilities. The report gathered dust, while the company continued with business as usual, blissfully unaware of the storm that was brewing. The attack was a wake-up call for Blue Chip X. They realized the hard way that vulnerability assessment reports aren't just another bureaucratic hurdle to clear, but a crucial tool in their cybersecurity arsenal. The report had laid out a roadmap for enhancing their security posture, but the lack of action left them exposed and vulnerable. Post the cyber attack, Blue Chip X revamped its cybersecurity strategy. The vulnerability assessment report was no longer sidelined. Each potential threat was addressed and preventive measures were implemented, thereby fortifying their digital fortress. This case study serves as a stark reminder of the potential impact of ignoring vulnerability assessment reports. It underscores the importance of not just conducting vulnerability assessments, but also acting on the findings. Because in the realm of cybersecurity, complacency is the first step towards catastrophe. So, how exactly does one conduct a vulnerability assessment? Let's break it down into a step-by-step process. Firstly, it all begins with identifying and categorizing assets and capabilities. In this context, an asset could be anything from a physical server to an application or a dataset. These assets are then categorized based on their criticality and sensitivity. The more critical the asset, the higher its priority in the vulnerability assessment process. The next stage is identifying and analyzing vulnerabilities. This might involve using automated scanning tools, manual testing, or a combination of both. The aim here is to uncover any weak spots that could potentially be exploited by an attacker. This could be anything from a software bug to a misconfigured firewall. Once these vulnerabilities are identified, the next step is assessing potential impacts. This is a crucial phase as it helps us understand the severity of each vulnerability. The impact is assessed based on factors such as the potential for data loss, disruption of services, or the compromise of sensitive information. Then, we move to the mitigation stage. Here, each vulnerability is addressed based on its severity and potential impact. This might involve patching software, tightening security configurations, or even replacing vulnerable systems. The goal is to eliminate or at least minimize the risk associated with each vulnerability. Lastly, the process doesn't end with mitigation. It's an ongoing cycle of reassessment and improvement. As new vulnerabilities are discovered, they are added to the assessment process and the cycle continues. This ensures that the organization's cybersecurity posture remains robust and up to date. As you can see, it's a thorough process that leaves no stone unturned. Conducting a vulnerability assessment is like giving your cybersecurity a health check. It's about finding and fixing vulnerabilities before they can be exploited. It's about being proactive rather than reactive. It's about staying one step ahead of the attackers, and that's the essence of a vulnerability assessment. It's a critical part of any cybersecurity strategy, ensuring that your defenses are as strong as they can possibly be. As you can see, it's a thorough process that leaves no stone unturned. Creating a vulnerability assessment report is much more than just documenting findings. It's an art, a craft that requires precision, clarity, and a deep understanding of the subject. Imagine yourself as a detective, unearthing hidden threats, and your report is your detective story. It must be engaging, yet straightforward. The structure of your report is crucial. Typically, it begins with an executive summary, providing a high-level overview of the assessment. This is followed by the detailed findings where you delve into the intricacies of each vulnerability. However, the art lies in striking a balance between the technical jargon and a language that everyone can understand. Your report should be a bridge between the complex world of cybersecurity and the everyday operations of a business. The importance of clear and concise reporting cannot be overstated. Your report needs to be as clear as a crystal, leaving no room for ambiguity. Remember, your audience could range from tech-savvy IT professionals to executives with limited technical knowledge. But the true masterpiece of your report should be the actionable insights and recommendations. It's not enough to simply identify the vulnerabilities. You need to provide a roadmap, a guide on how to address these issues, and strengthen the cybersecurity framework. To craft an effective vulnerability assessment report, you must think like a hacker, write like a novelist, and strategize like a general. Remember, a well-crafted report can be the key to preventing a cyber catastrophe. In the digital age, cybersecurity is no longer a luxury, but a necessity. We've delved into the vital role of vulnerability assessment reports in cybersecurity. They serve as critical tools in identifying weaknesses and providing solutions to strengthen our digital defenses. Ignoring these reports can lead to catastrophic consequences, leaving systems susceptible to attacks. These reports are not just pieces of paper, they are blueprints to a more secure digital environment. So next time you come across a vulnerability assessment report, remember it's a shield safeguarding your digital fortress.